A major police investigation. Magnitude is developing. Carefully in your area and what? It seemed like a simple movement of patrols has become something a lot deeper and more revealing. The agents, after weeks of silent vigilance, they managed to catch several people involved in serious events that had. It has been going on without the majority. You'll notice, listen very carefully, son. Mine, and don't get ahead of yourself, because what you are about to discover has the power to shake even the strongest soul. Something has been brewing right in front. In your eyes, in the very streets where you thought that calm reigned, in the same places where you used to walk with confidence. Now everything comes to light, and nothing will come back to be the same. The officers have been going through every corner of your neighborhood, taking notes and recording movements, looking at faces, writing down names, and what they found left them shocked, out of breath, because among the documents and recordings discovered something that it's pointing straight at you, parties the look, and because what comes to continuation is not a story. Anyone, it is a revelation that can completely change your perception of the that surrounds you. If you let a moment pass, you could losing the magnitude of the message that the destiny is trying to show you. Everything. It began in silence, an ordinary evening in the one where most of us were sleeping, while the lights in the houses were going out. Undercover agents were moving stealthily among the shadows, observing every detail with precision. They weren't there by chance, no. They were looking for random criminals. They kept a trail, a sequence of events that they formed a pattern, and when they joined all the pieces, the signs pointed towards a direct connection with you. No. Ignore this, my son, because what found is not a minor thing. It is a truth that has been hidden for too long. Time, secret reports were written. Solid evidence was collected and filed under strict confidentiality. Nothing was made public at first because they wanted to be sure of what they were to be revealed, but what came to light, it wasn't just a criminal act, it was a attempt at manipulation, a network well built that used your neighborhood as a stage for a much more purpose. Big and dark, stay with me because what I'm going to tell you next, it can completely transform the form. In that you look at the people that they surround. One of the agents, with the pale-faced, he confessed to another something that changed the entire course of the research. At first it sounded amazing, almost impossible, but the plan was coldly calculated. The target was not chosen at chance. He was a specific person. Someone from that place. Imagine for one moment to hear those words and feel the weight of its meaning. Don't walk away, because the strongest is about to begin. The night of the confrontation, the hidden cameras installed in advance recorded everything. The voices were recorded. Footsteps echoed in the darkness. The movements were captured without margin of error. The officers caught them in the act with the hands on something that is not. It belonged to them, and it wasn't just about money or material objects. What they had in their possession was something much more delicate and more personal, more yours. They had access to private information, fragments of your identity, believing that you'd never find out. But heaven had other plans. Stay until the end, because the coming revelation is too much powerful to stop here. During the interrogations, those involved They began to break down, one of them. Under pressure, he mentioned the name of your street, and in that instant everything took a turn. Unexpected, what used to be simple suspicions turned into a truth. Irrefutable, don't get ahead of yourself, my son. Because what follows is intense, real, and it's happening faster than you imagine. Although the files were sealed as confidential, the rumors began to circulate as a invisible wind. Someone from that neighborhood was betrayed, the agent said, and those words included you directly. Someone played with fire, believing that he could control everything from the shadows. But the sky allowed his mask too. He fell in front of everyone. Don't move. Because what was hidden is a point of becoming visible, dear soul. Listen calmly and carefully, because what you are about to know is the heart of this whole story itself, the night in that the investigation reached its point. More tense, the officers burst into one of the houses in the neighborhood. The sound of the knock on the door was so loud that still resonates in the memory of those present. They entered with authority, uploading files full of evidence that they no longer left room for doubt, no longer. They were chasing shadows or assumptions. Now they had concrete evidence, and the name written on those documents was linked with something much closer to you than you ever imagined. The neighbors watched from their windows with faces full of fear and bewilderment. No one understood why so many sirens, so many lights, so much tense silence, but everything had a reason. Behind that operation, there was a direct connection with you, even if you didn't know it. Inside the police station, the confessions, they began to sprout one after another. One of the detainees, with a trembling voice, whispered, "I shouldn't have gone so far. We were just going to observe." But someone from above gave an order, and the course of events changed completely. Those words, they even shook their own police officers, because what looked like a common case became something personal, almost intimate. Among the tests, they found documents with private data, movements, registered information that only someone very close could own. The questions began to multiply. How did they get that? Who is it? Did it facilitate? When the answer was revealed, silence filled the room like an echo of amazement. It wasn't a coincidence. It was a plan. Carefully plotted. They got caught because they followed the trail of hidden transfers, messages, encryption, and shadow transactions. Each track led to the same period. That is why the officers, they understood that it was not a common crime. Stay with me, my son, because what's coming will leave you without words. The person behind it all is not. He was a stranger, and not someone far away. It was someone very close, someone who you knew, someone you never imagined capable of so much. His mask, which during she protected him for so long, he's about to fall in front of everyone. Take a deep breath. Before I heard his name, because what coming is pure revelation. Share this message, because many must understand that nothing that is hidden remains in the shadow forever. The research reached its climax, and what the agents discovered completely changed the course of everything. From the beginning, they knew that this case was bigger than what it seemed, and that night they finally joined all the pieces of the puzzle. When the officers reviewed the videos, the photos, and the records of audio, a name stood out in the documents. That name caused an absolute silence. It wasn't just any neighbor, but someone who went unnoticed between everyone, walking with apparent normality. Imagine the impact when you see the recordings, whispers in the dark, footsteps around your house, voices, exchanging information that has never. They must have owned the detainees, confessed that they were not acting alone, that there was someone else behind, guiding them, controlling them. When they revealed who that person was, the officers were stunned. The neighbors watched from afar as the police were approaching a well-known house. At that moment, everything changed. I don't know anymore. It was only about a crime, but about a betrayal hidden in plain sight. My son, do not be hasty, because what is coming, it will reveal the reason for all this. The documents showed patterns, habits, and details so precise that only someone very close I could know them. It was not coincidence, it was a strategy, coldly planned, and while the agents were reading the final reports, the truth spread like an unstoppable fire. Don't turn your attention away, because you are a point of witnessing the total fall of the mask of the traitor, not only found guilty, but one direct connection with you, a plot staff that will leave you amazed. Stay until the end, because what you is revealing now is not only the cause hidden from all this, but the truth complete that will forever transform the way you see your surroundings, your history, and the intentions of those who they surround you. Before leading you to the final closure of all this, make a deep pause, take a breath, and stop for a instant, because what you are about to listening will not only make you shudder, but which will also completely change the way you saw everything around you. Share this message so that no one else be surprised by those secret networks, that they were moving in silence, woven with cunning between the shadow and deception. Why? Stay tuned, because what comes to continuation is not a simple detail more, but the strongest blow and revealing of this whole story. The reason you were chosen, the real reason behind the minds that they were pulling the strings from the dark. It's something that will defy all logic in you. It will take your breath away, my dear son. No. Hurry up and don't overlook any word, because you are about to enter in the deepest, most dangerous part and most shocking of this research. Stay with me until the end, because at this point, the agents, they decided to state the reason that no one I imagined, the one who kept everything in movement from the beginning. The documents weighed as if they were kept centuries of secrets. The statements, they were so raw they looked like blades through the truth, but nothing is compared to the time when the reason was pronounced. The whole environment froze. Their eyes met in silence, and a shiver ran through the room. Something big, much bigger than what can you imagine? He is about to reveal himself before you, and every second counts. The brain behind all this network took a step to the front, no longer in disguise or mask, and with a voice as firm as it was cold, he uttered the words that broke the air like a sharp blade. It was never about money. It was not a matter of fate. Everything was spinning around them. I wanted what he belonged. He wished that their lives, they revolve around my will. Imagine hearing that, my child. Imagine to feel the weight of such a confession, so chilling and so real, knowing that your very existence was the trophy that they were pursuing, the goal of a dark plan. who sneaked around in secret while you were just living in peace. Don't look away. Because this is the point that you can't ignore. The agents pieced together every lead. The midnight meetings, the shadows that were moving close to your house, the documents where your name appeared. And again, nothing was a coincidence. It was not surveillance, it was obsession. The brain of this whole operation does not. He was looking for riches or recognition. I long to have power over your life, influence on your decisions, and absolute control over your destiny, and that's what turned this case into one of the strangest, most disturbing and personnel that the researchers had confronted. Stay until the end. The agent said that the truth intensifies with every I'll pass. The horrified neighbors, they started muttering to each other when they understood that the betrayal was born from poison of envy. It wasn't because of what you were lacking, but for what he dwelt in. You, your light, your favor, your energy. Spiritual, that one-of-a-kind glow that they could never copy or own. That's what made you his target, which led them to erect a structure so dangerous that it ended up falling apart under the weight of his own lies. My dear son, don't run, don't ahead, because the more we move forward, clearer and sharper becomes the true. The researchers themselves have. They confessed with amazement. We think that we were following a crime, but this goes a long way beyond. This is personal. Those words sealed everything. There was no longer doubt. You were the center, the root, the reason why the whole network existed. From the very beginning, stay until the end, because what is coming will start the last mask before continuing. Stop again. Share this revelation so that others may understand that the truth, even if it takes a while, is always breakthrough, even through the denser darkness. My dear son, stay here. Don't ignore what's coming, because you are right at the instant that the heaven had reserved, the moment when the mask falls and the face is revealed. The real traitor. Stay until the final, because what you're going to hear does not. It will only leave you speechless, but it will mark the beginning of a new chapter in your story. In the final part of the investigation, the officers placed on the table the open files, marked photographs, recordings, stamped documents with names and dates and testimonials that fit together as pieces of a divine puzzle. But it was during the last interview when it all made sense. One of the officers, with a fixed gaze and the voice full of authority, asked the question that everyone was afraid of. Tell us who gave the order. Tell us his name. There was silence, and then, with a broken whisper, that the name was pronounced. The air is. He came back dense. The time seemed. Stop. No one moved. No one. He took a breath. It was an impossible name, one that no one would have ever suspected. No. He was a stranger, nor someone alien to your history. He was a person who had walking by your side, who was looking at you at the eyes with apparent kindness, but that he was hiding dark plans behind every kind gesture. When it was revealed, that name, he walked through the entire police station as an echo of fire. The neighbors, listening to him, they took their hands to the unbelieving faces. The traitor always. I had been too close. Stay with me, because that closeness is what it makes this truth even more shocking. The brain of the operation fell into a total silence. I had no more excuses now. I couldn't deny anything. The agents. They began to read the proofs one by one, lists with your name written to hand, detailed plans drawn up with his own handwriting, recordings of conversations that revealed everything. Each evidence was a stroke of justice until that nothing was hidden, my dear. Son, don't get ahead of yourself because you're witnessing the exact moment when the truth stands up without fear. Then the principal investigator, with a firm voice and with a determined look, he pronounced the last words. The network has been dismantled. The mask fell off. What was hidden in the darkness has now come to light. Imagine that moment, the relief, the shock, the collective sigh, the peace that comes when the deception finally collapsed. Everything was revealed. Everything came back to his place, and now at the end of this history, silence is no longer fear. It is rest.